very deeply.
In about 4 seconds, a teacher will begin to speak.
I think very deeply.
Let us begin.
So, make sure you guys have your notes out. Today, we're going to talk about some very, very important topics. My favorite case of all time is Terry versus Ohio. Please make sure you write that down. Terry versus Ohio. Mr. Trent, did we talk about Terry versus Ohio before in our last class?
We have.
Okay. I know you like Terry versus Ohio. Do you remember what it is? Remember what it does?
Let's see.
Okay, Trent's going to his notes. I like that. I like that. While Trent is going to his notes, then talk about Terry versus Ohio real quick. Terry versus Ohio is the first case that established stop and frisk. Terry versus Ohio established stop and frisk. Make sure you guys write that down. 1969, Terry versus Ohio, stop and frisk.
Frisk?
Yes, F-R-I-S-K, Mr. Calvin. Stop and frisk. So here's the scenario. Here's what happened with Terry versus Ohio. So the officer, Mr. McFadden, was walking down the street and he saw 3 individuals outside of a store. Some individuals say it was a liquor store, some individuals say it was a jewelry store. I don't have the details. However, Mr. McFadden, Officer McFadden, saw these 3 individuals acting suspicious, Calvin. Acting suspicious. They were looking inside the store, stepping away, looking inside the store, stepping away, and then they would talk to each other in the group. You remember that, Cal? You remember that, Trent?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do you have in your notes, Trent?
Pretty much, it just says, just allowed to stop and frisk. Procedures based on responsible suspicion, which is lower standards to that probable cause. The court held that if the police officer had a reasonable suspicion that a person may be armed and dangerous.
Good, good, Trent, good. Reasonable suspicion. Not acting suspiciously, a reasonable suspicion, police officers are allowed to stop and frisk you, looking specifically for weapons. Here's what that looks like. So, Officer McFadden, he's walking his beat, 1969. He sees these 3 individuals, Parker, acting suspiciously, right? They're looking inside the store. They come back out, they're talking. And it was close to closing time. So I believe the store closed around 10 o'clock, Ms. Brown, and so this activity occurred around 9:45. Acting suspiciously. Officer McFadden walked up to the individuals. He said, hey, I need to talk to you guys. Let's step around the corner. And he conducted it's called a Terry stop or a Terry frisk. He was able to pat the outer garments of the individual looking for what, Trent? Do you remember? What was he looking for?
Looking for a gun?
Looking for a weapon. So Terry v. Ohio, here are some basic points. Number 1, if an officer can clearly articulate your activities were suspicious, he can stop you. He can frisk you. He can frisk your outer garments, Parker, looking for a weapon. Here's a caveat with that. With Terry v. Ohio, the officer cannot go inside your pockets. He can only pat your outer garments looking for a weapon if you're acting suspiciously. United States Supreme Court, Ms. Brown said that was a good stop. It was a good stop because Officer McFadden stopped these individuals based on their actions. Based on their actions. Stopped them. He was able to frisk them, searching for a weapon, specifically for a weapon. And do you remember what you found, Mr. Trent? I love hearing that sound of the notes turning. I love hearing that sound.
Let's see.
Want me, can I hop in?
Yeah, go ahead.
He found a gun. He found a gun. They were arrested, charged with having a weapon. It made it all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said Officer McFadden, you're good. You stopped them based on their actions. You frisked them. You found a gun. Everything is good. They went to jail. Case closed. That is the standard that we use today. Terry v. Ohio, 1969. That is the standard that we use today. Now, so let me give you guys another example. Let's say you guys have a basketball game Friday. So let's say the basketball game is at 5 p.m., Ms. Brown. Basketball game is at 5 p.m. At 5 p.m., where should most people be if they're here to watch the basketball game? Inside the gym, right? Watching Ms. Brown get busy. Everyone's in the game. You guys are in the game, watching the game. It's 6 p.m. It's dark. I see individual. I'm going to use Mr. Trent as an example. Trent is walking in the parking lot with his hoodie up, late at night, hands in his pocket, looking inside cars. Is that suspicious? Yeah, very suspicious, because hoodie, hands in your pocket.
Looking at cars.
With it?
Saying looking in cars.
Looking at cars when everyone else is in the gym watching Miss Brown score 40 points. So that's a real life example. All right. Now, Terry versus Ohio, and then before we move on to Matt versus Ohio, Terry versus Ohio focuses on the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment, please write this down, protects you against illegal searches and seizures. Illegal search and seizure protects you against anything that's illegal search and seizure. So if we're using Terry versus Ohio, the stop was a seizure. He seized them. That was the stop. The search was obviously the search of his garments, the pat down. So that was the Fourth Amendment. That was the relationship with the Fourth Amendment, Terry v. Ohio. Also, due process. Before these individuals were arrested, there was due process. Calvin, in the sense that people were stopped, they were frisked, they were searched, outer garments, they were questioned. So that's due process. He followed the steps of due process. In a nutshell. That was the Fourth Amendment. Before we move on to Matt versus Ohio, what questions do you guys have of Terry versus Ohio? And I have something to add to that as well. What questions do you guys have of Terry versus Ohio? Anything? Let's add a little bit to Terry versus Ohio. Stop and frisk. Now, in New York, there is a 10-year time span where individuals such as Trent and Calvin were being stopped based on your race, ethnicity, and your age. So in New York, you guys would be walking down the street, no issues. Did we see the videos for New York?
We did.
Okay. So in New York, you guys would be walking down the street, just walking down the street, and you would be stopped, frisked, probably handcuffed and arrested based on what? Trent, do you remember? Trent's my OG, so we have last semester. You remember why they were stopped?
Because he looked suspicious?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Boom, welcome. So just so you know, we're filming YouTube channel right there, so you just walked in late, but that's okay.
Wait, where? Right here. Oh.
It's okay. Thanks for showing up, Boom. So they were illegally stopped and frisked, illegally. So in New York, about 85 to 90% of people that were stopped and frisked looked like you two guys, and about 5% were actually arrested, which means that they were just stopping and frisking people based on your age, race, ethnicity. They were sued and they lost. Huge issue. So they were doing it wrong. They were doing stop and frisk wrong. All right, Fourth Amendment protects against illegal searches and seizures. Fourth Amendment. Ms. Boone, since you just came in, I'm gonna ask you this question. You and Ms. Brown are driving your car to the game. You pulled over for speeding because, you know, you guys really want to get to the game, because the game previous, Ms. Brown dropped 40 and you dropped 30 with 26, so you can't wait to get to the game. You stopped, pulled over for speeding. A police officer pulls you over, gives you the ticket for speeding. There's no doubt about the ticket for speeding. We're talking about the Fourth Amendment, illegal search and seizures. The police officer asks if he can search your car. What do you say? Boom. What do you say? You'll let him search your car? He's very nice. Can you search your car?
I don't know, yeah.
Good, yeah. Thank you. What's the big deal? Ms. Brown, can you search your car?
Is it wrong if I ask why? I'm gonna be like, yeah, but.
Good.
Give me a reason why?
Well, you said yes.
Yeah.
Let's stop there. He searches your car. Thanks for letting me. You're great citizens. He searched your car. And it was your car. You're driving.
Mm-hmm.
You said yes. The day prior, you let one of your friends use your car. Your friend smokes marijuana. A bag of marijuana fell out of their pocket. You didn't know. Under the seat. Police officer searched your car. He found marijuana. It's in your car. It's your marijuana. Now you go to jail because you allowed to search your car. If a police officer asks if they can search your car, what do you say, Trent? You remember? No.
No, yeah, I would say no.
You can never, no. The Fourth Amendment is going to protect them against illegal search and seizures. Now,
Because
go ahead, Trent.
if you already say yeah, you already give them a reason, like you already give them consent to already search it, so you can't take that back already. So because you already give them consent to say, hey, like you can search my car, so now they can search your car whenever you want. You can't stop them in the middle of searching your car because you already give them consent.
Right. Now, and these are just based on videos that we've seen. Some police officers, not all, you guys know my position on law enforcement, on pro-law enforcement. There are some bad cops out there that will plant evidence on it. I've shown you, we've seen videos in Baltimore where police officers searching cars and all of a sudden the body cam goes off. Oh my gosh, the body cam went off. Oh, now the body cam's on. I found this crack. I found this crack in 5 seconds. During the 5 seconds my body cam was off, I found this crack because you gave me consent, or there are times when they won't give consent and they still do it. And we have videos of that. Police officers finding crack, planting evidence on individuals. Even if you say, no, you can't search my car, and they search it anyway, fruit of the poisonous tree. In other words, if you say no and I still violate the Fourth Amendment, anything that you find in that car, you can't use because I didn't give you consent. So here are a couple of ways a police officer can search your car. They can search you. Number one, a warrant. And we're going to talk more about this with illegal immigration. They have a warrant. They can search you, search your car, if they have a warrant specific for that action. If you give them consent. Consent is, and they're going to ask you, hey man, you play basketball, right? Man, what's your name? Calvin. All right, Calvin, can I search your car real quick, man? They're not going to be a jerk about it. They're going to be super, super nice, Parker. Can I search your car? And you're going to let them search your car? So you're protected under the Fourth Amendment. You can say, no, you cannot search my car. Now, obviously, if they have a search warrant, they're not going to ask you. They're going to say, I'm going to search your car. But if they do not have a search warrant, you always say no, because you're protected under the Fourth Amendment. Before we move forward, what questions do you guys have of stop and frisk, searching of a car? What questions do you guys have?
So, person had a gun, but they gave it to so and so. Like, are they still going to, like, could they still search the house or something? Like,
Okay.
just say like they just had a gun on them, and then like the person that they were with, like, they gave it to them, and then later on they find that like that person had a gun or something.
All right, there's a lot going on with, okay, you gotta give me some specifics.
Okay, so this is what happened to like somebody I knew.
Okay,
So he got in jail.
he was arrested.
And, yeah, and later they found out that his
Who's they?
friend, the friend that he was with, had his gun, and now they're looking for that gun or whatever. Like, and they go to the house, are they able to like search for that gun or?
So, there's a lot going on, and I don't have a lot of information, so I'm gonna give you a very general answer to that, very general answer. You cannot search a person's residence based on hearsay, based on, hey, I heard Calvin has a gun. Okay, I'm gonna go search his house because an anonymous tip said Calvin has a gun. You have to get a search warrant, you need facts, signed by judge, the date, you have to be specific. And if you think about it from a amendment standpoint, just think about it from an amendment standpoint, the amendment was created in 1776 to protect individuals from illegal searches and seizures, right? So a search warrant is needed to enter your home or consent. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Brown, but what you're saying is, what you're asking me is, if someone can search a home just based on hearsay.
Hearsay, yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
The short answer is no, they need a search warrant. Now, if the person says, hey Calvin, I heard you have a gun, can I search your home? Yeah, come on in. And they find a gun, that's different because you gave them consent. Just a police officer can talk to anyone. Like you can walk down the street and say, hey, Calvin, can I search you? Yeah, no, I don't have anything to hide. So the short answer is no without a warrant or consent. Now, here's a little caveat with that. You give them consent to search your home, you say, come on in. And they walk past a bag of cocaine. Oh, what's this? Now you're gonna go to jail for the cocaine as well because of the plain view doctrine. Plain view doctrine is just what it says. Anything in plain view can be used against you in the court of law. Now, I search your car, I walk up to you, give you a ticket, and you two guys, Mr. Parker and Calvin, are driving, and I walk up to your car, flash my flashlights, and on the seat in plain view is a gun or anything illegal. Now I can arrest you for that item because it's in plain view. I don't need a search warrant. Good question. So whenever I answer questions like that, I try to give you guys as much information as possible based on the limited information that I have. I try to give you guys a general scope, right? Good question though. Anything else? Okay. We talked about Terry versus Ohio. We talked about the Fourth Amendment due process. Mapp versus Ohio. It's another Fourth Amendment case that I love. Here's what happened in Mapp versus Ohio. And Trent, if you remember anything, please feel free to hop in. Mapp versus Ohio. So the individual, Mapp, she was in her house. The police officers received, actually this coincides with your question a little bit, Ms. Brown. The police officers they placed her house under surveillance. The police officers were watching individuals going in and out of the house. They were acting suspicious. The police officers knocked on the door. This is actually a really good case. Knocked on the door and she denied them entry. They didn't have a search warrant. They forced their way into the house. She had some illegal materials. Basically, she had some obscene materials which were illegal. They seized the obscene materials. I think there were some betting slips, there were some obscene materials. They seized everything. Matt went to court, all the way up to Supreme Court. She says, hey, you can't take my stuff like that. That's illegal. You just can't walk. You can't. She was concerned with him taking her stuff. She said, you can't take my stuff like that. I want my stuff back, my materials, my, bank slips. The court said, you're right, but there's a bigger issue that we need to discuss. You remember that, Trent? Let me know if you remember what the bigger issue was. The bigger issue was they walked into her house without a search warrant.
Yeah, so they violated the Fourth Amendment.
You can't, so I'm giving you guys the cases that refer to protect yourself against illegal search and seizures. The Fourth Amendment and the 14th Amendment, those are the amendments. Terry versus Ohio and Mapp versus Ohio are the cases that protect you against the Fourth Amendment. So Mapp versus Ohio, the Supreme Court said, you can't walk into someone's house without a search warrant, consent, or exigent circumstances. Now, exigent circumstances are, a felon is running through the house with a gun. If I'm chasing a felon, I'm not going to just stop and say, let me go grab a search warrant. To save life, to save someone's life, right? So police officer knocking the door, someone's screaming, they're killing me, they're stabbing me, you can hear the knife, you can hear whatever. They're not going to just say, hold on a second, let me get a search warrant. So to save life, felon, a search warrant is not needed. Those are exigent circumstances. Then you have consent, obviously, then you have the warrant. Now, here's what's troubling me. But before we move on to illegal immigration and what ICE is doing, we're going to pivot a little bit, but before we do, what question do you guys have of Mapp versus Ohio, Terry versus Ohio, the Fourth Amendment, or the 14th Amendment? Anything? Any examples, any questions, anything you need to clarify? Okay. Okay. Right now, ICE, from what I've been seeing on video, ICE is doing some things that I'm concerned with. I'm concerned. I saw a video firsthand, and Trent, when we talk about videos, there's maybe 90% of the information that we don't see. Right, boom, there's 90% of the information I'm missing. How many points did you score last game?
Like 4.
4? Were you off? What was that?
Yeah, none of my shots were going in.
Really?
I was like 1 for 11.
Oh, okay. You're a senior, right?
No, a sophomore.
Okay, so you're coming back next year?
I have no idea.
Really?
Yeah.
What are the options?
Either just like focusing on school and going to a different school and stop playing basketball, or like just looking around for other schools. I don't know yet.
You don't know yet?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I saw a video of an ICE agent with a battering ram knocking down an individual's door to enter. Not good. Not good. When they broke the door down, the lady asked for a warrant. They didn't give her a warrant. And here's what's interesting. Just pivot a little bit. How many people have seen Training Day? Anyone? Training Day? Okay. Trey, do you remember seeing in Training Day where, what was his name in Training Day? I forgot his name. Well, when Denzel Washington, they went to Macy Gray's house, and he said, I need to search your house.
Oh.
You remember that?
Yeah, I know you're talking about, yeah.
And he said, hey, I have a warrant. And they entered the house. Now remember, he had a warrant. He entered the house. They're going through the house. They're looking at everything. Lorenzo.
Yep.
Lorenzo. And he finds some drugs, and he puts them in his jacket. And he goes, there's nothing to see here. you know, I'm sorry. Walks out. There's nothing to see here. I'm sorry. We made a mistake. You know, let's go. She goes, you remember what she said?
No, I remember like him walking out and then like it wasn't a search warrant, it was like a coupon somewhere or something like that.
Right. She goes, I want to see that damn warrant. He goes, what? Show me that warrant. He goes, you want to see the warrant? He goes, here you go. It was a menu to a Chinese takeout place.
That's what it was, yeah.
Right. He said, it's not a damn warrant. So she goes, hey, they jacked me and they're shooting him and everything. So, when an officer issues, now keep in mind, here's another thing I'm fighting against when people have these questions. You have federal law enforcement, ICE, FBI, ATF, DEA, CIA, the feds. You have state. So for us, it's Department of Public Safety. And then you have local, Phoenix PD, Mesa PD, so federal, state, and local. ICE still falls under the same rules as law enforcement. They're still law enforcement. Because they're the feds, they can't violate the 4th Amendment and the 14th Amendment. They can't do that. So, the lady in the video said, hey, I need to see the warrant. So it actually happened in real life as it did in the movie. She said, I need to see your warrant. They didn't give her a warrant. They didn't do anything. They just came in. For some reason, and this is what I've been saying on video, for some reason, ICE, certain agents, certain ICE individuals feel that because they work for the feds, the Constitution does not apply. That's completely false. The Constitution applies to everyone, even if you're illegal, because the Constitution says, the 14th Amendment says, due process is granted for all. Due process is granted for all. A search warrant, please write this down. A search warrant should contain the date, a signature from the judge, place to be searched, items to be seized, and the date. I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense. There's critical information a search warrant should contain. The date, signed by a judge, place to be searched, location to be searched, and items to be seized. So, if someone says, Calvin, here's a search warrant, we're looking for a .38 caliber pistol in the drawer of your bedroom, someone snitched on you. Someone snitched on you, or they've been watching you for a long time. They have those specifics. There's specific information that's near a search warrant. Okay. So, the question I've had is, can ICE enter your home without a search warrant? Here's the answer. Thank you. Trey. Generally, no. ICE agents cannot enter your home without a warrant. Generally, no. Cannot enter your home without a warrant. But there are important nuances. The basic rule under the 4th Amendment, ICE, like other agents, please keep this in mind, 4th Amendment, ICE, like other law enforcement agents, cannot enter private residence without judicial warrant signed by a judge. So here's some things I want you guys to remember. ICE is a federal agency. They fall under the same laws, restrictions as any other agency. Phoenix PD just can't walk up to your house, Parker, kick the door down and walk in and take whatever they want. They can't do that without a warrant or what? consent? Yes. Well, obviously, exigent circumstance, that's number 3. Can I enter a private home without warrant or consent from someone inside or exigent circumstances? Rare emergencies. Rare emergencies. Please remember that. You're gonna see that. You will see that on the exam. Trent, and you know what? Trent, what did you got? What did you earn last semester?
An A?
Not a hard class, right? Did you learn something?
I don't know. I learned a lot.
That's the point, Calvin. That's the point. It's not a hard class, but you will learn something if you're not careful. You have to be careful. You have to come here and forcibly say, I'm not going to learn anything. You have to force yourself to say, I'm not going to learn anything. Well, if you're open-minded, Trent, you're going to get an A and learn something. Is that a great deal or what?
That's a great deal.
And have some fun. Did we have fun last semester?
We had an amazing time.
I'm going to ask you this question. Am I pretty funny, Professor?
Oh, you're like the best.
Yeah, you want your A now, you can get your A. Trent was one of my best students, the participation in everything. And before I forget, I've said this before, Calvin, you did a really good job when you watched First 48. You asked some great questions about the video. I really appreciate that because that forces me to get the information to you guys. Calvin had a question about accessories to murder and to crimes, and there's an accessory before the fact, an accessory after the fact, and we'll talk more about that. We'll do that a bit later. All right, we got that. The big catch, the type of warrant matters, administrative warrant. So administrative warrant, it's a technical term, but you still need to have it signed by a judge. Fact does not enter home. Plain English, bottom line, ICE cannot just walk into your home. An ICE administration warrant is not enough. Only a judge signed warrant allows entry. Opening the door, consenting improves protection. So in other words, if you give consent, exigent circumstances, the warrant, that's the only way they can enter the house. Okay, we're going to end. This is the last thing we talk about. So this is really, really important. And sometimes we forget this when we talk about the law, when we talk about different situations, we forget this, but I want us to understand. The 14th Amendment gives you protection under the law. The 14th Amendment is due process. So, are illegal immigrants protected under the 14th Amendment? The 14th Amendment protects persons, not just citizens. The Supreme Court has been very clear under that undocumented immigrants are persons under the Constitution, therefore do receive many constitutional protections where protection apply. Due process, you can't deprive them of life, liberty, property without fair protection procedures, equal protection under the law. And a key case is Plyer versus Doe, 1982, where the Supreme Court held that states cannot deny public education to undocumented children. Here's a case that says in 1982, the court held that states cannot deny public education to undocumented children. So if you're in a situation where you're in school and you say, well, why is someone that's here illegal have the same access to public education as someone that's here legally? The case 1982, Plyer versus Doe says that. All right, going to wrap this up, man. Another great class. What questions do you guys have? What points of reference? Or what was your takeaway from today? Either what questions, what was your takeaway, what you got? What you got for me? After each class, we're going to end with a takeaway. What was your takeaway from today's class, or what questions do you guys have?
The takeaway is ICE or law enforcement can't search your house without a warrant
Yeah,
by a signed lawyer.
yeah. Thank you, Trent. That's a takeaway. ICE, like any other agency, is governed under the Constitution, 14th Amendment, 4th Amendment, all those great amendments. So, thank you, Trent. All right, so Friday, we're gonna watch a documentary, probably Lock Up Raw, or maybe Gangland, one of the two, because we watched First 48 last time. So Friday, documentary, and again, I really, really appreciate what Calvin did during our last documentary last week. He watched it from an educational standpoint, so thank you for that. So once a month, we're gonna film our documentaries, we're gonna film our lectures. Please make sure you guys subscribe, share with the hoop team, share with the baseball team. You guys are awesome, and I'll see you Friday.